Hey y'all, so we are going to be talking about the menstrual cycle because we kind of had to understand what happens in a female's body during, a month before she can get pregnant. So, the menstrual cycle is a monthly process that's going to prepare the body for pregnancy. And typically it lasts about 28 days, but it can range from 21 to 35 days. Everyone is a little bit different, and it is normal for to have different ranges. So the menstrual cycle starts the first day of the period. So here we have um, the sorry. So here we have the female reproductive system. Um, we're just going to point out some things. The ovary is this, egg shaped thing. Then we have the fallopian tubes. The uterus is in the middle there, where the baby is held. The uterine lining. We have the cervix down here, and then the vagina as well. So these are parts of the female reproductive system that aid and, process this really cool thing of making life. The uterine lining also has like an inner and an outer. So if you are interested in learning more about, pregnancy, being an OBGYN, then there's some terms that you'll definitely learn. So with menstruation, it's we have the menstrual cycle, but menstruation happens within the first 5 days of the cycle. So the first day of the cycle is your first day of the period, and this is when the uterus is shedding its lining. It's been preparing for the past 10 days or so, gathering, building up this lining. And then if you don't get pregnant, then you'll have your period. So this is where sometimes you hear someone say like, oh, I'm late, in reference to their period. It's because they haven't gotten their period, meaning that maybe they could be pregnant, because they're not bleeding. So yeah, during this time there can be menstrual cramps because of the lining of the uterus shedding. It's kind of different for everybody. So you kind of just need to learn your body and, take data of like how long your menstrual cycle is, how long you're bleeding, things like that. There are different like ways that women can manage their periods and the hygiene of periods. And so we have like the Diva Cup, we have the pad, we have the tampon. So yeah, if that's something that you want to learn more about, check learn more about. Um, all right, so in simple terms, what happens within this menstrual cycle is there's a period, then the egg is maturing. This is called the follicular. Then the woman becomes fertile, especially if there is a sperm cell within her egg cell. So this is, if there is, then an ovulation is happening. Then there is the possibility of pregnancy. So ovulation is when the egg is released, and so if there's sperm within that space, then the egg could be fertilized. Um, so that's ovulation stage, and then we have the luteal phase, and this is where the body is preparing itself for the possibility of pregnancy. Each month it builds up that uterine lining, etc. And so, if there is an implantation, then you will not see a period. But if the egg is not fertilized or implanted, then um, the bleeding will occur. So the follicular phase again is when the egg is maturing and the uterine lining is thickening. So we say that the female is fertile about 5 days before ovulation. So this, like maybe day 10 or day 9 of the follicular phase is when the woman could be pregnant. I'm sorry, fertile. So it's just something that will help in determining how long your pregnancy is going to be and other dates, things like that. So, and also during the follicular phase, that egg is maturing. It's only one egg per month. And so there's only about like a day, there's like about a week, that 5 days to 1 day period of, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe I can edit that out. Moving on. All right, next is ovulation. So this is like, you know, kind of where we need to do some of that math and etc. So anyway, this happens around day 14, but it doesn't have to be on day 14. And sometimes it lasts for 12 hours, sometimes a whole day. And this is when the mature egg is released from the ovary. So as the egg is moving through from the ovary through the fallopian tubes, if there is sperm present, then the woman can get pregnant that way. The sperm is going to live inside the female for about 5 days. So if it was like, if you are, say like, you ovulate on day 15 or whatever, you have the day 10, you got to just make sure, if you're trying to get pregnant or if you're not trying to get pregnant, that you're aware of those times, because pregnancy is more likely to occur. um, And again, the fertile window, like a woman is only ovulating for about 12 to 24 hours, but the fertile window is in there because of the possibility of sperm. So if there's no sperm, then you have like that day of ovulation to try and conceive. But yeah, always obviously consult your doctor, so that they can give you personal advice, and personal and professional. Anything else we want to say about that? No, but you just, again, you need to be very, very aware, and you can't really play around with numbers, especially since there's a possibility of a life being created. You need to really be aware of the different things that you are doing in terms of, not using protection. Anyway, the luteal phase is the phase from day 15 to 28. And this is when the uterus is continuing to prepare for that pregnancy, and it happens every month. If, again, the egg is not fertilized, then the uterine lining, which has been thickened, will break down, and the woman will eventually get her period, sometimes on day 28, sometimes day 30. And then some people get like periods for 3 days, and other people get periods for 7. And like every woman is different, every female is different in how how their body is processing all these hormones and things like that. So if the egg is not fertilized, then hormone levels do drop, and then we'll see that menstrual period begin, where the bleeding happens, and that is the first part of the cycle. So if we kind of want to think about it, we can think about it as like a clock or a cycle, or whatever. We've got the period, then the egg is maturing, then the egg is released for ovulation, the body is preparing itself for pregnancy. If that egg is fertilized, and implantation occurs, then you become pregnant. If there is no pregnancy, there is no fertilized egg, then the cycle will start over, and the woman will again get her period. All right, so if you guys have any questions about that, please just put them in the comments below. I am looking forward to any questions you might have. All right, so this is a little bit about menstruation and the menstrual cycle. Next video, we're going to be talking about prenatal development and the different phases of, how a female can get pregnant. We'll talk about the fallopian tubes, a little bit about that ovulation. So see you there.